80 victories in the sky, feared by every Allied pilot. But when the Red Baron was finally shot down, his enemies didn't celebrate. They buried him with honor. Why would they do that? Manfred von Richthofen wasn't just Germany's top ace. He was a living nightmare for Allied pilots. His bright red triplane was a warning. If you saw it, you were probably already doomed. No one ruled the skies like him. He was precise, ruthless, and unstoppable. But even legends have their limits. On April 21st, 1918, the impossible happened. The Red Baron was shot down, and instead of cheering, his enemies honored him like one of their own. So how did a nobleman, once an average pilot, rise to become the deadliest ace of World War I? What made him so untouchable in combat? And why did his death change the way we see heroes, even in war? Stay tuned until the end of the video, because this is the story of the Red Baron's meteoric rise and dramatic fall. Manfred von Richthofen was born into a wealthy Prussian family on May 2, 1892. As a child, he was athletic, competitive, and loved hunting, skills that would later help him in the skies. Coming from a military background, he was expected to serve in the German army. At the age of 11, he joined a military school, and by the time World War I began in 1914, he was a cavalry officer, leading reconnaissance missions on horseback. But trench warfare changed everything. Horses were useless against barbed wire and machine guns, and Richthofen found himself stuck doing messenger work and supply runs. He hated it. He wanted action. Then he saw planes in battle for the first time, and everything clicked. The sky was where the real fight was happening. Determined to become a pilot, he transferred to the Imperial German Air Service in 1915. But his first flights were unimpressive. He struggled with controlling his aircraft and wasn't considered a standout flyer. Some even doubted whether he had what it took to survive air combat. But Richthofen wasn't the type to give up. He trained harder, studied tactics, and learned every trick he could. But how did an average pilot transform into the deadliest ace of the war? That's where the real story begins. In 1916, Manfred von Richthofen's life changed when he was selected to train under Oswald Balke, one of Germany's most skilled fighter pilots. Balke saw potential in Richthofen and personally trained him in aerial combat. Under his guidance, Richthofen developed the patience, precision, and strategy that would make him lethal in the air. It was during this time that he found his true calling, not just as a pilot, but as a hunter in the sky. Soon, the world would come to know him by a new name, the Red Baron. Manfred von Richthofen had developed a set of rules for aerial combat, known as the Dicta-Brüelke, which focused on teamwork, positioning, and striking at the right moment. Richthofen absorbed everything, learning how to attack from higher ground, control the pace of a dogfight, and never take unnecessary risks. Unlike some pilots who relied on flashy maneuvers, Richthofen's style was cold and calculated. This mindset made him one of the most effective pilots in the German Air Force. His first confirmed aerial victory came in September 1916, when he shot down a British aircraft. It was the first of many. As his kill count rose, his reputation grew. He began customizing his aircraft, first decorating them with small markings, then painting his entire plane bright red. He wanted his enemies to know exactly who was coming for them. By 1917, Manfred von Richthofen was the most feared pilot in the war. With 80 confirmed aerial victories, he had surpassed every other ace, making him the deadliest fighter pilot of World War I. His red triplane had become a symbol of dominance. If you saw it in the sky, you knew you were in trouble. Allied pilots both feared and respected him. Some called him the Red Devil, while others admired his precision and skill. His unit, Jasta 11, became one of the most elite squadrons in the war. But it didn't stop there. Richthofen was promoted to lead Jagdgeschwader 1, a collection of 4 fighter squadrons that operated as a mobile strike force. Because they moved around so often and painted their planes in bright colors, they were nicknamed the Flying Circus. The Allies tried everything to stop him. They sent their best pilots, improved their aircraft, and even put bounties on his head. But nothing seemed to work. The Red Baron was always one step ahead. However, even the greatest warriors have limits. In July 1917, Richthofen was shot in the head during a battle but miraculously survived. He returned to flying, but those close to him noticed a change. He seemed more distant, less confident. Some believe the injury affected his decision-making. On April 21st, 1918, it was a clear morning when Manfred von Richthofen took off for what would be his last mission. That day, he spotted a lone British Sopwith Camel flown by a young Canadian pilot named Wilfred May. Seeing an easy target, Richthofen chased him, flying lower and lower over enemy lines, something he normally avoided. What he didn't know was that he was being hunted too. Another Canadian pilot, Captain Arthur Roy Brown, saw the Red Baron chasing May and fired at him from behind. At the same time, Australian machine gunners on the ground also opened fire. Suddenly, Richthofen's plane was hit. A single bullet tore through his chest, passing through his heart and lungs. Despite being mortally wounded, he still managed to keep his plane steady for a few moments. He made a rough but controlled crash landing in a field held by Australian troops. When soldiers reached the wreckage, they found him barely alive. Some claimed he whispered "kaput" before taking his last breath. The Red Baron died at just 25 years old. But his story didn't end there. Instead of celebrating, the Allies did something no one expected. They honored him with a hero's burial. Why would they do that? Why did his enemies show him such respect? The answer lies in the legacy he left behind. Even though Manfred von Richthofen was Germany's most feared fighter pilot, his enemies did not celebrate his death. Instead, they honored him. British and Australian soldiers recovered his body from the crash site and, in an extraordinary act of respect, gave him a full military funeral. They placed a wreath on his grave with a simple but powerful message: "To our gallant and worthy foe." This was rare in war, but Richthofen was a pilot who fought with skill, discipline, and honor. Even those who once feared him recognized that he had earned their respect. Beyond his death, his impact on aviation was undeniable. Richthofen had perfected the art of aerial combat. His strategies, like attacking from above, choosing battles wisely, and striking with precision, became the foundation for modern air combat tactics. Pilots today still study his methods. His legend didn't fade with time. His story has been told in books, movies, and documentaries. His name is still famous, not just in military history, but even in popular culture. And yes, even Snoopy from the Peanuts comics turned him into a fictional rival, proving that the Red Baron's name had become larger than life. More than 100 years later, the Red Baron is still remembered, not just as a pilot, but as a symbol of skill, fearlessness, and an era when even in war, respect could cross enemy lines. Do you think the Red Baron's story would be different if he had survived the war? Would he still be remembered the same way? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share it with others. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.